I have just had my hair cut and I absolutely love it. Shout out to Redhead Salon here in London. I am adoring my new hair. Thank you so much. I love it. And it smells so good. It smells so good. Hello guys, my name is Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be answering a question that I probably would have answered very differently a few years ago, and that is, would I date someone else who is trans? Now, I think this is like a really important question, and I think it's something that like a lot of trans people get asked. It's something that is kind of integral to people who are asking about kind of trans dating lives and things like that, and that is, you know, would you date another trans person? And I mean, flat out, I guess the answer is yes, I would. I would never kind of restrict it. I would never put a label on it. Like, I would definitely consider dating someone else who is trans. However, I kind of think that when I was younger, when I was pre-op and things like that, I had very kind of marginalised ideas of what it meant to kind of date a fellow trans person, I guess, because I was just very, I don't know, I was very kind of focused on myself. I only wanted to think about kind of my transition. I didn't really want to think about other trans people. I only wanted to live stealth. And so when I was younger, I think there was a part of me that was worried that if I hung out with other trans people, I would be outed, people would know that I was trans and things like that. And that was a very real fear for me when I was younger. Like, I genuinely cared and was genuinely quite scared about the idea that someone might, you know, clock me, might call me out if I was hanging out with kind of trans friends and things like that. And that definitely cost me a lot of kind of trans friends and potential trans relationships when I was younger. I also think that like the mental health aspect of it plays a role, because the thing is, trans people, not to kind of, you know, stereotype us and put us into a box, but we're not always the most mentally stable people. We deal with all sorts of things. We deal with prejudice, we deal with transphobia, we deal with internalized transphobia, we deal with gender dysphoria, we deal with gender euphoria, we deal with mental health and depression, anxiety, paranoia, suicidal thoughts, you know, and all of the things that come along with being trans, you know, they're kind of part and parcel. And so I think that part of me would be scared that dating another trans person would kind of open myself up to a lot of hurt, in that kind of sense that, I don't know, maybe, you know, I would be opening myself up to being exposed to someone else's mental baggage and things like that, and that is something that kind of genuinely scares me quite a bit. But like I said, you know, the answer is yes now. My opinions on that have changed, but it kind of stumps me sometimes what I would imagine a relationship with a fellow trans person would be like. You know, there are certain aspects of kind of the cisgendered male body that I prefer, not to say that I wouldn't prefer them on kind of like a trans male and things like that. And you know, I am bisexual, so I enjoy kind of the physicalities of the kind of cisgendered female form as well. So, you know, it's not something that would kind of restrict me as such in that way, but I do find it very curious because I wonder how I would react to it. I wonder how I would react to kind of the mental aspect of it and all of those really important things that kind of need to be discussed. And so, you know, it just kind of posed this really interesting question to myself, because I was like, oh, you know, would I and wouldn't I? And for myself, it comes down a lot to kind of physical attraction. You know, are they taller than me? Do I kind of find them really sexy? Do I, you know, all of those things like that. And also the personality traits as well is kind of, you know, are they intelligent? Are they into what I'm into? You know, are they going to get bored if I run off and talk about history for 3 weeks or, you know, whatever? And so it really is just kind of like a circumstantial kind of momentary decision, I think, because truthfully, to put a label on it and be like, you know, I would never date another trans person, it's just as bad as a cisgendered person saying, you know, I would never be attracted to a trans person, because it's like, it's a generalization. You know, there's nothing stopping me from being attracted to a trans man or a trans woman at some point in the future. It's not something I've experienced yet, and I think that I kind of confuse that in my head with the idea of like, you know, I would never date a trans person. And it's not that, it's just the fact that I've never found myself as attracted to a trans person, whether that's their personality, whether that's their kind of like mental health aspect, or whether that's their physicalities. I've never found myself as attracted to a trans person as I have to a cisgendered person. But that isn't to kind of restrict it, that isn't to say that I would never, you know, date a trans person. It's just something that I've not, I don't know, I've just not experienced really. I've, you know, had physical attractions to trans men, and, you know, I've had physical attractions to trans people and a couple of gender non-binary people actually, but it's something that I've never, I guess, acted on. And so because of that, I've never kind of pursued it or kind of saw where it could potentially go and things like that. So yeah, I would say in terms of answering the question, would I ever date another trans person? The answer is, of course, yes, I would. It is circumstantial, you know, it is dependent on kind of physical attraction and things like that, which is something that's really important to me in my relationships, but it's just something I've not experienced. It's, you know, something that I just haven't kind of been exposed to really, is like the attraction to a trans person. So yeah, I mean, I guess it really kind of just got me stumped and made me think about, you know, what I wanted in a partner and all of those things. But then I realised that that was me kind of generalising trans people like a cisgendered person would generalise trans people. And so it has to be a yes, you know, the answer has to be a yes, because it is entirely circumstantial, dependent on the situation, dependent on the attraction. And yeah, that's just kind of, I wanted to talk about this today because it's just something I was asking myself and I kind of got myself stumped, you know. So I'm sorry for kind of rambling on for about, you know, 8 minutes. But that is kind of my answer to that question. If you have any like follow-up questions on this, like any other things that you'd want to know, then please just drop them in the comment section down below, because I would love to hear them, of course, as I always do, because I love to hear from you lovely lot. I hope you're having a really brilliant day. I hope you are making good decisions. I hope you're staying safe. I hope, you know, the world isn't being too difficult on you today, and all of those really good things. And I will be seeing you next week for another video.